trouble, and we're in the midst of that Jubilee, that week that's spoken of in Daniel's 70 weeks. The Most High gave us this calendar. Now I understand why he gave us the original calendar that dictate years, that gives us the understanding of years and seasons from the beginning. That calendar, that 52 Sabbath calendar, that was the original dates when the earth was created. Now I understand. Now it's clearly understood to me that we can use these Sabbaths and these Passovers as indicators of how much time we actually have, and also give us an insight on what the enemy is doing and what their plans against us are. So most people look at how the Kabbalists use numbering or whatever the case is, but really it's the breakdown of the 70 weeks and understanding the time we're in. And it began when they went into Israel and made that place desolate and set themselves up as the people and began to build their temple, Esau's temple, on our land. Since that time of the 40s, we've been in the last Jubilee. Okay, we've been near the last Jubilee of what you would call generational Jubilees since they went in there in the 40s. Time started ticking against them. So, folks.
All right, Shalom. This is Harold One by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahawashi, Ba Hashem Harakah Kodash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, Nakwatim, and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. Yeah, man, you saw there the leader of GOCC basically leading his sheep astray again, man, with false doctrine. All right, and him stumbling over the scriptures. You see that he's stumbling at the word. Now, he said a few things wrong in that video. I'm going to touch on a couple of those points. All right, because we got to expose these false prophets, man, so the elect can pull away from these damn demons. All right. So the first thing he started off with was calling his church GOCC, which means gathering of the church in Christ, something like that. Well, the Lord's name is not Christ. His name is Yahawashi. And how you say Christ in the Hebrew would be Mashiach, which means the anointed. All right. So he started off from the jump wrong. 2, he got like his face edged up. 3, popping his neck like effeminate, you know, like a woman. All right. I don't care what nobody say, man. You know, it's not supposed to be there. And if I saw that on my son, I would tell him to stop doing that. All right. Now, the next thing he spoke wrong was the scriptures where he said, through the Sabbaths and through the Passovers, we're able to tell what time we're in. And we're able to tell that we're in Jacob's trouble. He said we're able to tell what the enemy is doing by that. That's not true, man. You cannot tell anything by the Sabbaths and Passovers today, because we don't know where we're at in the calendar. You know, we just know the new moons, and we get close to it where the Passover is around March, April, May. That's around the time of the Passover, which would be springtime. All right. And whatever new moon after the spring equinox, that's what I like to go by. Or if not, I'll just follow when the apostles do it. So we can put up the same vibration with the prayers at the Passover. But you can't tell where we're at or what the enemy is doing according to the Passovers and Sabbaths. When I think they even hold their Sabbaths on Friday and Saturdays. It's just confusion, man. All right. So how do you tell the signs that are, where we're at? Through the signs that the Lord gave, through the prophecies. That's why the scriptures say the spirit of the Lord is the spirit of prophecy. And that's something that camp, GOCC, they do not have the spirit of prophecy, the spirit of truth. All right. And also he went off on the 70 weeks with Daniel. He said, we're in the time of the 70 weeks that started after 70 AD. And then he changed and said, well, it started in the 40s when he don't even know when. It was 1948. Excuse me, when the fake Jews got set up as a sovereign nation. All right, but they've been in that land. That's not, they've been took our land. So he's going off on that as well. So I'm gonna try to touch on those few topics. All right. So right here it says 2nd Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. See, how did you measure what time you're in? Through the scriptures, through the prophecies. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, see, through prophecy, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So how do we tell? Through the signs that the Lord gives, all right? Not through the Sabbath and Passover. No, that's not how you tell where we're at, all right, in the prophecies or what the enemy is doing. It's just confusion, man. That dude's just talking and popping his neck, just to save face, man, because all that video was really about was to usher in more people and more funds, more money. All right, you heard him say that we're in the midst of the 70 weeks, and he was wrong. All right, we're not. The 70 weeks already happened. All right, he says the Lord says 70 weeks are determined for what? For the judgment, spiritually. Basically saying what? We're going to be destroyed in our land. All right, and then at some point we're going to be cast out of that land. We're going to be given the land, then we're going to be cast out of that land in 586, right? And then after that, all the way up until the time of Yahushua being on the earth, that's when he was going to choose and set the foundation in place for the elect. That's what happened. All right. So we were free at that point spiritually. All right. When Yahushua came on the scene and he died for our sins, we basically won back then. So, but the Lord still said what? There was going to be a cutoff point, the falling away first. All right. And that falling away already happened. That was the 70 weeks. So this dude is going off. He's saying that he's teaching his congregation that we're in the midst of the 70 weeks. And that's a lie. He said that's the midst of the 70 weeks that scripture was talking about in Daniel. And I'm going to prove that he's a false prophet. All right. This is Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression. See? And what finished the transgression? Yahushua showing up on the scene when he gave his life for us. He was what? All right, Isaiah 53:5. But he was wounded. Yeah, I'm gonna go up here. I'm gonna get to the point. But he was wounded. This is talking about Yahushua. He was wounded for our transgressions. All right. So that he was set up to take away our transgression, to take away sin. All right. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes, we are healed. All right. And it's talking about through Yahushua, we are healed. All right. Through his suffering. See that? So what? This says, verse 6, all we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and Yahweh have laid on him the iniquity of us all. All right, so it should make more sense. I'm going to read this real quick. Daniel 9:24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city. All right, and this prophecy was given to Daniel after 605 BC, around that time. All right. And it says, and to make it says what? 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city, upon that land as well. Okay? To finish the transgressions. You see that? To finish the transgression. You see that? It was complete when Yahushua was on the scene. To make an end of sins. All right? So he's not making it, he made an end of sin through Yahushua. All right? And to make reconciliation for iniquity. How do you do that? Through Yahushua. And to bring in everlasting righteousness. And to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. All right. So when Yahushua was on the scene 2,000 years ago, that's when the most holy were anointed, meaning the elect were set up, established through the foundation and the testimonies of Peter and Paul. All right, from Yahushua in the congregation, the churches. So to seal up the vision, so it was sealed up with these prophets and believers 2,000 years ago, and to prophecy. Okay, he said the spirit of the Lord is the spirit of prophecy. He sealed it in the minds of these elect. All right, 2,000 years ago, and they're back here on this earth today to live in the prophecy and redeem the reward for their belief, and to anoint the most holy. All right, so through Yahushua, he was showed up to anoint us with the oil, meaning the word, all right, the spirit of truth, the most holy out of Israel. All right. So what's that 70 weeks? Let's see this real quick. All right, I'm gonna do this in more simplified form. This is 70. 70 weeks would be what? 70 times 7. All right. A week is 7 days. And it would equal what? 490. So 490 years are determined for the transgressions of Israel. Now, if you go from 605, when Daniel was taken, all right, into Babylon, and Nebuchadnezzar won the battle of Carchemish against the Egyptian pharaoh Necho II and the Assyrians. Nebuchadnezzar, being a branch of the Assyrians himself, went up into Jerusalem and basically took the nobles of our nation, took a lot of the riches out of the temple, all right, from Jehoiakim. Now you have, from that time, you take away 490 years. And that would take you to around 115 BC. All right. So the Lord is saying all the way up until that time, we were going to after that point, he was going to start establishing the setup for Yahushua to be on the scene. All right. So if you go from 605, all right, you take away 490, you get 115 BC. And what does that do? That takes you from our fall to Babylon, all right, and all the way through the Persians and the Medes, the Greeks, right, the Syrian Greeks, which would be the Diadochi, and it takes you all the way up until after Antiochus Epiphanes, and all the way up until Judas Maccabees 165 and 164, when we had the temple rededicated. All right, it was destroyed, rebuilt, and rededicated, and then all the way up until the end of the Hasmonean dynasty. The prequel to almost to the end of the Hasmonean dynasty. The Hasmonean dynasty ended in 40 BC. All right, the Hasmonean dynasty, which is it was a guy named Hasmon, which was the forefather of Judah Maccabee. All right, Judas Maccabee. But they called him Maccabee, meaning hammer. That was his nickname. All right, but the empire was called the Hasmonean dynasty after their forefather named Hasmon. Now, around that time, through the Hasmonean dynasty, you had people like John Hyrcanus, all right, around 116 BC. And that's when he forced the Edomites to follow our customs and kill them, in the land of Idumea. And at that time, it was something called, in 115 BC, it was called the independent kingdom of Israel. We became independent again. You see that? And we were kind of vassals of the Roman Empire until 116 BC. 115 BC, we became independent kingdom of Israel again. And our people started migrating into Idumea, Egypt, and other places again. All right. And then that's when you get who? Pompey, or what you call the triumvirate, in 69 BC. And it was fully completed and established in 67 BC. And through the triumvirate, that's when you have them doing this. This is Daniel 7 and 7. And after this, I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast. All right. And this is after the Greek Empire, or the Diadochi, with that was moved from the Greek Empire, and it was moved over to the Syrian Empire, which was still Greeks, Edomites. All right. You had Seleucid, Lysimachus. What was his name, man? All right, that's what it was. It was Seleucid, Lysimachus, Ptolemy, and Cassander. All right, and they all established the Greek Empire in the east, which would be in Syria. All right, or Antioch. But then out of that, you had the Hasmonean dynasty that went against them, 168 to 164. All right. And then after that, you had John Hyrcanus broke us off from being vassals of the Roman Empire to being co-rulers with the Roman Empire. All right. So then you get to 69 BC. That's when you had the Roman Empire rising up against us again through for different reasons. All right. And you had division within Israel, because a lot of our people wanted to fight against the Romans, and a lot of our people were scared of the Romans, and some of our people wanted to defect over to the Romans. People like Josephus. All right. Now, even though he was on the scene later, but I'm saying people like that, it was an ongoing argument all up until the Jewish Roman wars. All right. So now, this was what really kicked it off when Pompey, one of the triumvirate, you had three generals. One of them was named Marcus Crassus. Other one was named Julius Caesar. A lot of people know about him. And Pompey. All right, Pompey and Marcus Crassus started off first. 69 BC, you had Pompey. 67, you had Crassus. You had Julius Caesar joining in. All right. When they had the triumvirate, meaning that a tripod setup of three leading generals that ruled different areas. All right, one ruled Syria, the other one ruled Julius Caesar. Crassus ruled Syria. All right, and he was trying to take over areas in the east, such as Iran or Persia, and he wanted to keep going east. All right, and you had Pompey was trying to become a consul over in Greece, right, under the Senate. He wanted to become like a president or leader. But then you had Julius Caesar that was wrestling for that spot. And he had Southern Gaul, but later he got Northern Gaul as well. Once he got those two areas, he became more powerful and more influential than General Pompey, all right? But now back to the point, in 63 BC, you had General Pompey came up into the temple. And what he do? He desecrated the temple. He wanted to see the Most High. He said, yo, I want to go into the Holy of Holies and see what's in there. I want to see their God. And when he got in there was nothing in there. All right. They don't know that the Most High dwells not in temples made with hands. All right. The Lord will come visit us there in the spirit. And he's omnipotent. All right. In the temple, though, the buildings don't matter. That's not the point. He dwells in temples not made with hands, in the person, in the people. All right. And when Yahweh shows up, he's going to shake the earth. But anyway, Pompey was looking for something carnal, an idol or something, man. Something easily accessible. But Yahweh is holy. Anyway, so he went to the Holy of Holies, and there was nothing there. So he burned it, and he desecrated the temple and put idols up in there. All right. But then later, but he still didn't destroy the temple. All right. But then you had Marcus Crassus. He was another Edomite. He was known as a rich Edomite at that time. What he would do is he would go around burning down your houses. And he had a realty company, and he had a fire truck company. So he would burn down your house, send the fire truck company, which he get paid for that. And then he'll offer you a house or to fix your house up with his real estate company, his building company. So he became rich off of that. And through that, that status, he was able to pay for his own legion with 6,000 and 7,000 troops. And the Roman Senate gave him even more troops to fight against Israel, man. All right, what's that guy's name, man? I always forget his name, man. Spartacus. He was an Israelite, and that's one of the ones that killed him. All right, you had General Pompey and Crassus fighting over who killed more Israelites. You know, and it was a whole battle between Crassus and Pompey. All right, I'm not getting to the statistics, but yeah. But then you had Julius Caesar established later as the Kaiser, Caesar, president. All right. So through them three and the Roman centurion, they put hell on Israelites. All right. So the Lord was saying, all the way up until 115 BC, that's when we're going to become a independent state of Israel, kingdom of Israel again. You know, but through deception and through people like Herod that came later, you know, around the 30s BC, and especially in the 20s, he was established over Jerusalem, right? He was a known Edomite. His dad was named Antipater the Idumean. And Antipater served up under John Hyrcanus descendants. And they wanted to be Israelites. They wanted to follow our customs. That's how Herod thought he would. He thought he can be like Vocab Malone, converted Edomite to Israelite. No, you can't convert your nationality. That's what this is. It's not a religion, it's a nationality. It's customs and laws, covenants, promises. All right, you can't convert to that. That's what Herod the Edomite thought. And he even thought to go back and rebuild Edom. He saw the caves where he came from, Herod the Great. All right, so he knew he was an Edomite. So, but through those armies, the Lord was letting us know after that, after we wrestled with the Greeks all up to 115 BC, where we was vassals and co-rulers with the Seleucid Empire, the Greeks. And then you had the Roman Empire creep up out of nowhere. All right, through the triumvirate. A military setup, just like NATO today. You fight one, you got to fight the next one in their armies. So, but through that army, this happened. Daniel 7 and 7. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, meaning a fourth kingdom, dreadful and terrible. So it's the Roman Empire, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. And that was because of their harsh punishment and rule and austerity that they had on us. Excuse me. And it devoured and brake in pieces. It broke up our nation and devoured us. And stamped the residue with the feet of it, representing their military and their army. And and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So it was called what? The 10 common markets of Rome. All right. Which today is called the European Union. But or the dragon. So it was diverse, meaning it had a senate, it had courts set up, legislations and shit, a Caesar. So it was diverse and different. But through this, they stamped out the residue, meaning the Israelites. All right. So back to this, Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks, meaning from 605 all the way to 115 BC. That's when the end of the Greek phase was fading out. Right, Babylon, Persians, and the Greeks. And then you started going into what? The Roman Empire. And that's when Yahushua was going to come on the scene, prophesied to come on the scene, not during the Persian Empire, not during the Xerxes in them time, the Medo-Persian Empire, not during the Greeks, all right, not during Babylon. Yahushua was going to show up during the Roman Empire, and that was according to prophecy. And through that, in that time, it was called the time of the commons, all right, the common era, CE. And through that, you had the Library of Alexandria and all these different establishments of literature. And through that, Yahushua was able to come on the scene and establish the foundation of the most holy of his nation. All right. So that's 490 years. So are we in that time right now? No. It should be clear by now that this is talking about a past event. So that guy was going off where he said we're in the midst of the 70 weeks. Now let's deal with that scripture. All right. It says, verse 25. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks. So he's breaking it down, even getting closer and closer to the Lord. Check this out. And 62 weeks, the street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. Now, when did the street and the wall get built? We're not going to go into detail. We're going to do it in a simplified form. Now, let's go from it says, know therefore and understand that the going forth of the commandment. When did the commandment go out? To build Jerusalem and to restore it. All right. Ultimately, it went out through Darius, but we're going to start from Cyrus the Great in 538 BC. It was known as the Cyrus Decree. All right. And even it was known as the Cyrus Decree, and it was known as law. It was like something spiritual to them. And it was Persian law that any legislation or law, that policy that was put in place, they could not annul it, meaning take it back. So it was in place that Cyrus put in place that Israel was going to what? Return home. He put that call out in 538, all right, BC, and to rebuild. And from 536, that's when you had the call to start building the foundation. So what did they do in 536? They started building the altar. All right. Our people came back to Jerusalem and built the altar. 535 is when the temple the foundation was started being rebuilt. But then it got halted. The work got halted by them heathens that was crying to Cyrus. All right. So we had to wait all up until about 522. And we have Zechariah coming on the scene and Darius, the Persian, not the Mede. He started ruling in 522. So around 516, the foundation was built. All right. So, and then all the way up until Artaxerxes in 465 BC. All right. When the wall was built. Now, in 538, you had Cyrus the Great, who chose Zerubbabel to be the governor of Judah, of Israel. All right. So that's important as well. A lot of people understand that Zerubbabel could have possibly been King David back in the flesh. So now let's keep going. It says, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the prince shall be 7 weeks. And what's 7 weeks? That'd be 7 times 7. All right. So Cyrus the Great, he made a decree for us to return to Jerusalem around 438. But 2 years later, he put out the decree to rebuild. 538, Salakia. I said 438. So around 538 BC. So 2 years later, he put out the decree for us to rebuild, to start rebuilding the foundation. So that'll be 536. So that's when we're going to start from. Now, it says 7 weeks. So that'll be 7 times 7 equals what? 49. So 49 years are determined. So you take 538 and you take away 49. That would take you to around, let's start from 536. And you take away 49, take you around 487. Now, what happened in 487 BC? That's when you have this happen. Daniel 11:1. Also, in the first year of Darius the Mede, this in 538, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. All right, this one, Darius the Mede, who was also known as Gobarias, was given Babylon by Cyrus the Great. And Daniel was already in Babylon, like a third ruler, under Nabonidus, Belshazzar, and then it was Daniel. All right. So he stood to confirm him, all right, to hand over Babylon to Darius. It says, and now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up 3 kings in Persia. All right. 3 kings in Persia. And the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And this is important. So the Lord was showing us different time periods we're going to have to deal with. All right. According to the statue of Nebuchadnezzar that he dreamed about. You see that? The head of gold, Assyrian Empire, Babylon. Breastplate of silver, bronze, and so on and so on. The leg split to the western and eastern leg of Rome, down to the feet and the 10 toes, 10 common markets of Rome and the European Union, breaking up. He was showing us, right? Now, it says what? There shall rise up 3 kings, and now I will show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia. See, he's talking about the Persian Empire. See, all up until Xerxes, it was called the Persian Empire. But during the time of Xerxes, he changed the name of it to the Medo-Persian Empire. All right. So you had the Persian Empire. 3 kings rose up. So they had to be Persians. Who was that? Cyrus the Great. His son Cambyses. All right. But then you had Bardia. Now, Bardia was an imposter. He wasn't a real Persian. All right. He was known as a magi or like a undercover or whatever you want to call it. Somebody that stole Bardia's spot. And it's even written that Cambyses may have killed his brother Bardia. All right. The real Bardia. But Smerdis, known as Smerdis. That was the guy that stole Bardia's spot. His name was Smerdis. All right. So this was an imposter that was in place, and that imposter helped to stop the building of our temple. All right, while he was in power. So the Lord moved him out of place. So that happened in what? 525 BC. All right, so you had Cyrus the Great, Cambyses, his son, Cambyses II. All right. Then you had Bardia, which was imposter, so you can't count him. So who did you count? You would count the next one, Darius the Persian. All right, Darius came into power and he killed Smerdis, this imposter. And he killed him in 522 BC. And that's when you get Zechariah on the scene when you read it. 2 years after Darius came into power, which would be 520 BC. You have Zechariah, the book of Zechariah. Now, So during this time, that's when Darius came back into power, and he said, yo, we got to follow the ways of our forefather Cyrus, and we got to stick to the Cyrus decree, and we got to rebuild the foundation of the Jews, and so on and so on. Because he believed that that was the way to run his kingdom. That if he let everybody worship who they want to worship, he would be established in the midst of that. So he wanted to follow the ways of his forefather Cyrus. All right. So now, let's read that again. And now will I show thee the truth. So this is the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia. Now let's count them. Cyrus the Great, Cambyses the Second, Darius the Third. Darius, all right, the Persian. Okay. And the 4th shall be far richer than they all. Who's the 4th? Xerxes. All right, Xerxes. Now through Xerxes, you had who? Esther. Esther came on the scene. Xerxes started ruling in 486. Esther came on the scene 487. All right, and through Esther and Mordecai, we were given a place with the Persians, all right, and the Medes, which was set up for people like Nehemiah, all right, and for the walls to be rebuilt under Artaxerxes, okay, and Ezra's. It says, I think that was Zerubbabel, right, as well, if I'm not mistaken. It says, and now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his decree, by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecian. All right, so that happened already. So this guy breaking down the scriptures wrong, saying that Daniel, the 9th chapter, is speaking about now. It's not talking about now. All right, Daniel 9:24 and on. The 70 weeks. That 70 weeks already happened. It was established. It was for the establishment of the elect. All right, for the Lord to separate the most holy, the 1/3, the 144 from the 2/3. And today we're all scattered around the 4 corners of the earth, so you don't know who's who. And out of that, he's going to gather the elect. It's right there, man. All right. But you can't look at Sabbaths and new moons and tell what time we're in, or to tell what the enemy is doing. And you can't use Daniel chapter 9 and say that we're moving into the 70 weeks. If you're doing that, you're a false prophet. And you're lying. All right. All right, back to 25, Daniel 9:25. Know therefore and understand, so you have to have understanding, that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem, so that will happen in 536, that's what you want to use. All right. That's when the commandment went out from Cyrus the Great. Not for us to come back to Jerusalem, but for the building to start. All right. And the foundation was started being built in 535 until it was halted by the heathens. 536, we started building the altar. All right. So to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the anointed one, the prince shall be 7 weeks. So that's 49 years, take you to 487, to the time of the book of Esther, if you want to see what was going on. And through that, you have Xerxes and then Artaxerxes, where the walls were what? 62 weeks, the street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. So it's saying from 487 and on, the temple was going to be rebuilt all the way up into the wall until you get Nehemiah. And then after that, some more stuff was going to happen. All right. So let's see what this 62 weeks is. 62 weeks would be 3 equals 60, plus the 2 would be 62. All right. Times weeks would be 7 weeks. Or 7. All right. All right. So we're going to do 62 times 7. And that equals what? 434. So 434 years. So the Lord letting you know right there, from the time of the decree going out all the way up until the foundation and the walls being built in troublous times. 434 years later, you're gonna get what? The Roman Empire. All right, so 53 BC. Now, what happened in 53 BC? You had what? The Battle of Carrhae. All right, Carrhae. The Battle of Carrhae, which was the battle between the Parthians, and the Romans. All right, it was basically Parthians against everybody. All right, the Persians, or what you would call, where you had the Parthian shot, where they would turn around and shoot you with an arrow, and then they turn around before they leave and shoot you again with an arrow. That was called the Parthian shot. All right, they practiced that in archery today. Now, 53 BC, who fought in that war of the Battle of Carrhae? It was Marcus Crassus, one of the triumvirate again. See that? How it comes back together. Yeah, Pompey, Julius Caesar, Marcus Crassus. So you had 53 BC. Mind you, 10 years prior, you had 63 BC with Pompey that ran up in there and desecrated the temple, as I told you before. 10 years later, you had Marcus Crassus moving from Syria, trying to go into the east and fight and take over the Persians. All right. Before he did that, he stopped in Jerusalem and desecrated the temple and killed a bunch of people and stole a lot of the vessels out of the temple, all for himself, for his own riches. And the funny thing is, man, Kal Halayim Layahal Bashim Yahushai, Marcus Crassus, when he went to fight the Persians, they hit him with the Parthian shot and they overloaded the Roman army because, they had the shield. They would throw the shield, their shields up over top of the head and one in front of them. And they would do that. And a lot of people couldn't get through that. But what it do, that made them become sitting ducks when they did that against arrows. So it was like shooting arrows at a house. They were just sitting there, hitting them in the leg, killing them. So it made their army retreat. And Marcus Crassus and his son got away, but Crassus, he got hit in the leg. The Parthians took him captive. His son got away later to go and set up the assassination of Julius Caesar, all right, through the Senate. So now Marcus Crassus was captured by the Persians, and they poured molten gold. You melt gold down and it's turned to liquid, so it's like molten gold. I'm trying to say the right word. Molten gold. Molten. They poured that shit down his damn throat and killed him. So that was the Most High, man. You got to put the two and two together to where he came and ransacked the temple and took the riches and gold. He get to the Persians, they kill him by pouring molten gold down his throat. All right. So in 53 BC, that's when this happened. So who did that leave in place? Pompey and Julius Caesar. Later on, Pompey died by the Ptolemy. They turned him into a puppet. They actually killed him and gutted his insides out, turned him into a damn puppet, and kept him there until Julius Caesar showed up to retrieve the body from the Ptolemies. All right, it was crazy, right? So that's what happened to Pompey and Crassus. So now Julius Caesar was left in power. And through him, you have they changed times and laws, right? They established the Julian calendar. They set up all kind of paganistic beliefs and rituals. And they put hell on our people, man. All right. And through that, you have what? The Roman Senate. And then you have the president today. So all of that was a setup for the European Union to be established. All right. All up until the fall of Israel in 70 AD. All right. So this was letting us know that after 53 BC, it was on with the Romans. And after that, through Julius Caesar, he helped to establish Herod the Great. He the one that commissioned him and set him up in power. All right. And Herod the Great, married an Israelite named Miriam, all right, and had her brother, which was the last prince of the Hasmonean dynasty, had him killed. And Herod would go on a bloodthirst and go killing everybody, man. You see that? So now you have Herod the Great on the scene now. And everybody knows when Herod was on the scene, that's when he tried to kill all the firstborn of our people and tried to kill Yahushua. All right. And he died around 4 BCE. All right. 4 BCE. Now, when he died, Yahushua was moving around with Joseph and Mary. So Yahushua had to be born in that year of 4 BC, most likely in the spring. All right. So now let's get back to the scripture. So now it should make more sense. Verse 25, not Daniel 9 and 25. All right. It should make more sense that guy Rakah of the GOCC is a false prophet in a wolf in sheep's clothing. All right. And it should make sense that Daniel chapter 9 is not talking about now. It's not talking about these current times today when it says the 70 weeks or the midst of the 70 weeks. That had nothing to do with Jacob's trouble in these times. All right. Daniel 9 and 25. Know therefore and understand. So now you should understand that from the going forth of the commandment, right, 436 BC, to build Jerusalem, all right, unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks. Take you over to 487 BC. All right, to the walls were built. And around 465. All right, through Xerxes, you get Artaxerxes. And 62 weeks, which would be 400, I think it was 34 years. 424, I can't remember the number. Y'all just saw it too, though. But the street shall be built again, and the wall, even in troublous times. All right. So now, after the walls were built, you still had to deal with Antiochus Epiphanes in number 168 BC. 115, we became it was called the independent kingdom of Israel. That's what it was called. All right, we were no longer vassals to the Seleucids in Syria. All right, we became a free country or free kingdom. All right, through the fighting of and uprising of Judas Maccabees and people like John Hyrcanus and such. Now, after them, we fell to the Romans again. All right. Ultimately in 40 BC, the Hasmonean dynasty was done. And by that time, you had Julius Caesar ruling in 45 BC. And he set up Herod, all right, over Jerusalem. Now, so it says what? In troublous times. Now let's get to 26. And spiritually, we were being rebuilt as a kingdom as well. And after, see, that's the point. It's trying to tell you. After 62 weeks. So that means after 53 BC, when Marcus Crassus invaded the temple, Pompey and Julius Caesar were putting hell on us. So after that, shall the Messiah be cut off? See, he's trying to tell you, like, I'm working you towards that time period, from 605 all the way up until the decree going out in 538, all the way up until the triumvirate, the Roman Empire really being established over the Greeks. And then after that, the Messiah was going to be cut off, the anointed. It says, but not for himself. All right. And the people of the prince, so he was cut off for what? Our transgressions and our iniquity. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with a flood. And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. All right. So that's talking about who? Titus and Vespasian in 70 AD, to where the Lord said what? 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means. All right, not Ricard anybody. His name shouldn't even be Ricard, man. You know, I think that means holy. He's not holy, man. It says his doctrines are full of holes, but he's not holy. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. All right, so this is showing you two different time periods. One, the falling away first happened in what? 70 AD. Titus and Vespasian came in there and ransacked the temple and burned it down. Scattered us around the damn known earth at that time. All right, scattered us ran us out of our land. And slaughtered and tormented and butchered him, our people, him and his son. And it says, and that the man of sin be revealed. So when is he being revealed? In the time of Revelations, right now, it's being revealed. All right, when the prophets are speaking and the books are open. You see that? The son of perdition is talking about Esau. They're being revealed. At that time, nobody knew who anyone was. We didn't came out of Persia and different kingdoms. Didn't know who the Romans were. A lot of people didn't know that they were Edomites. All right. Before that, it was racism, but it was more so called a common era, meaning anybody could become emperor and shit like that. You had a lot of Jakes that became emperors, such as Constantine, Nerva, all right, Septimius Severus, so on and so on. So that man of sin is being revealed in these times today. All right. All up until the 1400s, 1448 AD, we were called tribes, and people went to war just to go to war. But after that, that's when they started calling us dark skin, or calling themselves the superior race. And then you had the race that started, and the 9 countries that were enslaving our people. They sent out settlers to come and settle on lands and take over us, take us captive, all right, steal our resources for Europe. It was called the race. And that's why you have something today called racism, which is a system that's established with that in mind, all right, to destroy the tribal people, the children of Israel. It was done by a guy named Pope Innocent VIII in 1448. All right. And his forefather, Pope Innocent III, he was trying to kill all the Jews, meaning dealing with the tribe. All right. So today they're being revealed. All right. So the falling away didn't happen in these times. The falling away happened, which led us to be in these times, to where Revelations 11, our people were what? Dead, spiritually dead. All right. In Ezekiel 37, we had to wake up out of that death. You see that? It says, whoso opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or called power. It's talking about who? Esau. That's what they do. Or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, that he is the power. And even today, they're still in our damn temple, on that area, over in Israel. All right. And they destroyed the temple. This temple never been rebuilt. The place that they call the temple today is really called the Tower of Antonia, that Herod had built in Masada. And Masada. He had Masada, and he had the Tower of Antonia built. All right. The Tower of Antonia was set up as a garrison for the Roman army to lay siege against Jerusalem at any time. But today they call it the temple because it was passed around between the Muslims and the fake Jews over time. All right. So they think that's the temple where the fake Jews are at today. All right. And then you have Masada, which was built in the east of Jerusalem. That's why the Lord said, flee to the Judean hills. Don't flee to Masada. But a lot of people went to Masada instead. Right? The rebels, or what you call Sakari. And they got slaughtered there. All right. A lot of people that went to the Judean hills, they were scattered through different lands. They fled in different countries. You know. So it says, verse 5, remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things. So Yahweh Shai was with us, and he showed up to tell us about the mystery of iniquity. All right, the son of perdition. That those people were going to show up in our temple and burn it down. Who was that? Vespasian, who was set up by Nero. All right, Nero died in 68 AD. All right, and that's the next scripture I'm gonna get. But he sent Vespasian in there, and Vespasian chose his son Titus to go in there. All right, I'm gonna explain why. But that already happened, man. All right, it's not talking about now. And now, verse 6, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. See, what time? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So we're in the time of Esau's judgment. To what Esau is being revealed. And the curses are going to be put on Esau now. All right. For the mystery of iniquity, who is that? Esau, doeth already work. So the Lord was saying, yo, they're already in power. Y'all don't even see it. And only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So they're going to be taken out of the way. All right. And they're going to be in power until they be taken out of the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed. So now, in these times, the wicked are being revealed. Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Talking about this word. And he said, what? He's going to put this word in our mouth, make this word fire, and the people wood. And we shall consume them, burn them, right? And shall destroy them with the brightness of his coming. So that's what it's talking about right now. Being revealed through the scriptures, and this word is fire. All right. And behind that, the Lord is going to show up and destroy them with the brightness of his coming and his glory. So that's what time we in. All right. So 2,000 years ago, set the foundation for the most anointed and the elect, as a precursor to Esau's downfall for today. All right. So the 70 weeks is not talking about now. It's talking about from Cyrus the Great all up until, from Nebuchadnezzar, 605 BC, all the way up until the time of the Roman Empire. All right, when Yahweh Shai came on the scene and he chose his disciples through the Spirit whom Yahweh gave to him. All right, verse 9, it says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. Talking about Esau, man, that's Satan on the earth. The spirit, you have the spiritual demon Satan, the adversary, and you have the physical counterpart, Esau. All right, the wicked, the adversary to Jacob, to righteousness. It says, whose working is of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. All right, are they not throwing signs and lying wonders? Right, nuclear weapons from the sky. You know, and lying wonders, man. And with all deceivableness. What does the word devil means? To deceive. They deceived our people with all deception. Even until this day, man. Like, how do you mentally become a hunter? They hunt people, man. We become fishers of men. They hunters. You know, spiritually. Seeking whom they may devour. And they devoured us through their deception. Our people became what? Destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. All right. It said one of the biggest tricks the devil could have played is that to make the world think he doesn't exist. And he's done that through what? Deception. That's what the Edomite race has done. And it says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And people like Rakah and the JOCC, they're receiving not the love of the truth. They're not receiving the truth. And for this cause, Yahweh shall send them strong delusion, and they shall believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. And I'm proving to you that his doctrine is unrighteous, and they're having pleasure in it. All right. And they believe not the truth, and that's important. All right, I'm gonna finish this off. Daniel 9:26. And after 62 weeks, all right, so after that time, after 424, 34 years, shall Messiah be cut off. So after 53 BC with the Roman Empire, that was going to set up Herod the Great. Then Yahushua was going to be born. And then around the time of Caligula, around 38 CE, Common Era, that's when Yahushua was crucified. All right, so, and after that, you had the persecution of the Jews, all right, with Stephen and so on and so on. All right, and they killed Peter, hung him upside down. And they killed John and cut off his head, and Paul. All right, I think Paul died around the time the Roman Jewish war started, around 65 or 66 AD CE. All right, so now let's get to the next part. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, and the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. All right, they destroyed the city and the sanctuary. And that who? Vespasian and Titus, where they burned down the temple and the sanctuary. And they killed everybody in the city and ran us out of there. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, all right? And unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. So all the way from, so when did the war? That's called the Jewish-Roman Wars. From 66 CE, Common Era, all the way until 73 CE. All right, or AD, some people would say. All right. And they set up the Anno Domino through Julius Caesar, too. So I like to say CE, which means Common Era. All right, the year of the commons. So that was what. Now let's get this. And that's what Esau did. They came in rushing like a flood, and they're going to do that same thing again in these times. They're going to come in rushing like a flood. But the Lord said, no, don't expect me to show up then. He said, yo, that's called the falling away. And our people are going to perish. All right, woe to the people that are born living in those days. And that give suck. And pray that your flight be not in winter. All right. But in these times, the Lord said he's going to show up and defend the inhabitants of Israel. He said, fear not thou worm Jacob. He's going to protect us. It's going to be a major deliverance, like during the time of the flood with Noah and during the time of Egypt with Moses. All right. And that's what we're dealing with now. All right. And with Babylon, with Jeremiah and Daniel, he delivered them. So in these times, he's going to deliver his elect from the time of judgment. Verse 27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. Now, if you go from 66 AD or CE, when the Roman Jewish war started, and you add 7, which would be a week, it would take you to what? 73 CE, which would be the end of the Jewish Roman wars. That started from 66 all the way to 73. It's right there in the scriptures, man. All right, 1 full week. All right. So 73 AD or CE, that's when we was in Masada with the Sakari. Not Sakari today, the Sakari back then. And they killed they had a suicide pact, and a lot of Sakari killed themselves all right, on the mountain of Masada. Now, but then you had Vespasian tried to make peace with everybody after that in Titus. They tried to make peace with all of us and cause a peace agreement to go around so they can kind of calm things down, and they ain't want to lose power, through the wars. So they would go around killing all the rich and nobles of our people that was still lingering, and the high priests and shit like that. So from 66 to 73 AD or CE, you have that 1 week. All right. Now it says what? And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. What's the confirm? To confirm means to what? Put out a harsh decree or command towards a people or a person. So that was Nero. This scripture is talking about Nero, man. And Nero died in 66 CE in the midst of the war. He set up Vespasian, then he died. So Vespasian waited. He was about to go into Jerusalem. He was ready. But then he halted it and he waited for the next ruler to come in power and get his commands on what to do. So he stalled. All right. So around 68 CE, he waited. And then later he became the emperor. All right. So in 70 AD, he sent his son Titus in there. You see that? So now let's read it. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. So that's 66 to 73 CE. 1 week. And what he do? Confirming it, meaning what? Putting harsh punishment on our people and putting a command out saying, hey, man, go calm them damn Jews down because they rising up against us in different areas. All right, go put hell on them. It says, and in the midst of the week. So that's what the boy Ricard tried to say. We're in the midst of the 70 week. This dude wicked, man. All right. But it says what? And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. So what is that talking about? So in the midst of the week, that would be what? 66 to 73. The middle of it would be 70 AD. And that's when he burned down the temple and took away the sacrifice and killed the high priest of that time. All right. I think his name was Ananias or something like that. And it says, for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation is right, fully consumed. And that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. All right. So, and when did that happen, man? So when Yahushua was on the scene, he anointed the most holy of our nation, which would be the elect. All right. And prepared them for what was coming. Now, in 70 AD, we were cut off as a nation. And the scriptures speak about what time this was. He said what? The overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. This is Mark 13:13. And ye shall be hated for all men, of all men, for my name's sake. But he that shall endure until the end shall be saved. And that goes all until today. All right. Those that didn't sell out or be wicked back then, they were set up as the foundation of salvation for today. In this ministry that we do. The continuation of the testimony of Paul and Peter and the rest of the believers and disciples, you know, and angels, meaning messengers. So verse 14. So if we endure, meaning be patient and long suffering in his truth until the end, then we'll be saved, man. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation. All right, so is that talking about a statue? No, it's talking about Titus and Vespasian burning down our temple. All right, that's what it said, he shall make it desolate. So that happened in 70 AD. Yahushua showed up 2,000 years ago to warn us about the falling away that was going to happen. All right. But he promised that he was going to meet us in these times through the spirit of truth, man, in a place of confusion called Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, being ruled by a nation of wicked, deceiving people, man, called Edomites that deceived the whole world. All right. So it says what? But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet. So that's another cut on that dude Ricard, because the Lord was saying this already happened in 70 AD. But the dude, the leader of GOCC, he's saying that it's happening now. 70 weeks. All right, but when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where he ought not, just like today, they shouldn't be there. They still in our land. Let him that readeth understand, and let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. All right. So that already happened, man. This is Matthew 7:15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing. All right. They act like they're the sheep. They act like they're the elect or anointed. But inwardly, they are ravening wolves.